Tom Suozzi, as you have, because this is our guy, and we fight for our guy. And our guy has to win, because we need to win this time. We did it last time. Last time we were fooled, we were made fun of, and it's not funny anymore. We need someone who's smart and talented, but most importantly, somebody that dreams a big dream. And the big dream that he lives for is, let's fix this. He's the guy that's going to reach across the aisle. He's going to reach across the aisle and say, come on, we can get this right. Come on, they're expecting more from us. So, it's my great honor to introduce someone who we've been proud of a long time. And he's been our secret, so we need to share it with everyone. Go out there and vote. Tell your friends to vote. Tell your family to vote for Tom Suozzi, because I'm voting for Tom Suozzi. My family's voting for Tom Suozzi. My friends are voting for Tom Suozzi, and we need you to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, our great friend, Tom Suozzi.
Let's hear it for Diane Yatoro. Let's hear it for the guy that rides the street. So, I'm just overwhelmed to see everybody here. I'm so grateful to all of you. It means so much to me. You look fantastic. The first people I have to thank, of everybody in this room, and I'm not going to go through person by person by person, or I'll get in trouble for not introducing everybody. I just want to thank one group of people in this room. Can everyone who's already voted please raise your hand? Yeah! That's what I love to see. I really love that. That is the key to this race, okay? You guys will make the difference in this race. The votes, everything else is small compared to the votes. So we need everybody to vote in this race. It's going to be a very low turnout. And we have to make sure that our people show up in huge numbers. I want to ask a favor. Can all the elected officials come up and stand in the front of the room? Because instead of me trying to pick people out, I don't want to get in trouble for not picking people out here. Let's give the elected officials a big thank you. Our new leader of the Democrats in the legislature, Celia Durigi-Whitten. You guys, all right, I got to be very sober with you, okay? I'm not going to treat this as a rally. We'll do a rally, I promise, on the evening of November 13th.
February!
But right now, I can't be all happy, okay? I want to be very serious. This is a tough race. We only win if you keep on going and keep on pushing and get other people. Now why, the mayor of Seacliff is here. Let's get the mayor of Seacliff also. Our newly elected So the only way we win this race is by the work that you do. That's the only way we win the race. And so why does this race matter so much? It matters for a lot of different reasons. Everybody knows what politics has become. Everybody knows how negative it is. Everybody knows about the attacks and just trying to tear people down. Let's try and think about what it could be. Let's try and think about, instead of attacking each other all the time, we try and come up with solutions. Instead of trying to tear people down, we try to build people up. Instead of just doing little talk points of this is what my guy's saying, this is what your guy's saying, you're no good and you're no good, we instead try and figure out where can we find common ground to move our country forward. Now we can't do that with everybody, okay? Can't negotiate with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I can't negotiate with Lauren Boebert or Matt Gaetz or what's his name, Jordan? Jim Jordan. Okay? But there are still good people on the other side, and we know there's a lot of good people on our side. We got to try and change this conversation in our country where people start working together to try and solve the problems that we face. Everybody in this room is concerned about affordability. Okay? First time polls in America show that parents are worried that their kids are not going to do as well as they did. Not going to be able to afford to buy a house, not going to be able to move into the neighborhood they were in. People are concerned about affordability. People are concerned about immigration. They see people screaming across the border. What the heck's going on? They're worried about the climate. Yeah, I don't know about you, but 3 weeks ago we had a rainstorm here in Glen Cove. My next door neighbor's lawn flooded. The drains were all flooded again. You know, it's supposed to be once every 10 years, once every 100 years. It happens like 2 or 3 times a month. We see all the South Shore beaches eroding. Remember over the summer when all the smoke was coming down from Canada? And it's like, what would happen if that went on for like a month or 2 months? What would we do? It's out of our control, except in Canada, it's affecting us here. We saw the awful attacks in Israel. We see Putin doing what they did what we learned about in the history books. He invaded the country next door, and if he's successful, he's going to go to the next country, and the next country, and the next country. Ask the Eastern Europeans how they feel about that. Ask the Europeans how they feel about that. These are real issues. This is serious business. We're worried about our kids looking at their phones all the time. When we were growing up, when I was growing up, I had to worry about the other people in the Little League, or in the neighborhood, the people in my class. Now these kids have to compare themselves to everybody in the world every single day. And you wonder why kids are anxious or have depression. So these are all very, very serious topics. They're not going to be answered from an opponent of mine who won't even do debates, who refuses to give any detailed answers on anything, who says, I think immigration is a problem. It's a big problem. It really is a problem. This is a problem. Do you know it's a problem? I've been working on this I worked with Peter King, okay? I'm sure not everybody here is a big fan of Peter King, but I worked with Peter King to do a bipartisan solution to the immigration problem. It was published in the New York Times. The headline was, The Grand Compromise. I didn't give it that headline. Peter King didn't give it that headline. The New York Times gave it that headline. Right now they're negotiating a bipartisan compromise in the United States Senate. There's a guy named Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut. And there's another senator from Oklahoma named James Lankford. And another woman named Kirsten Sinema, senator from Arizona. And they're this close. As a matter of fact, they may have even released it today. Did they release it today? Do we know? No. They're this close to having a bipartisan deal. The president has said, I will compromise. I will give on this issue. First time in 35 years we're this close to making a deal on immigration. 35 years was the last time when Reagan was the president that there was any sort of advancement on immigration. We're this close to making a deal. And Trump came out and said, don't make a deal. We don't want to give Biden a victory. Mike Johnson, Mike Johnson's the most conservative person you could possibly imagine in the Congress, says, oh, I'm with Trump. If they try and give us a bipartisan deal from the Senate, it's dead on arrival. Now, how can it be that for a year, you've been saying, the border, the border, the border, hair's on fire, the border, terrorists are coming in, fentanyl's coming in, there's problems, it's a problem, and it is a problem. How can you be saying that for a year, and now all of a sudden you're saying, oh, I want to wait a year until my guy gets in? As Mitt Romney said, a Republican, that's appalling. That's the most cynical form of government and politics that you could possibly imagine. Something's wrong if people can get away with that. Something's wrong if my opponent has never showed up for a debate in this whole campaign. There have been 5 offers of televised debates. She's never done one. There have been 5 offers of town hall meetings in chambers of commerce, of civic groups, of all different groups. Wouldn't come to anyone. Every single time she had a scheduling conflict. Now, why is that? Why are they doing that? Think about it. They asked her, they said, who did you vote for president in 2016 and 2020? You know what she said? You know what she said? That's a personal decision. You're running for the United States Congress. You can't tell us who you voted for president? How is that possible? She says on the issue of guns, okay, now I have an F rating from the NRA. These are my friends from Montreal, and I love them. Grateful for them. But I have an F rating from the NRA. I've sponsored every piece of gun safety legislation that we've had in the country. So they asked my opponent, they said, how do you feel about guns? She said, well, I'm opposed to people buying automatic weapons. It's illegal to buy automatic weapons since 1986 in America. It's semi-automatic weapons, AR-15s, that have been used in all these school shootings and all these other types of shootings in our country. That's what the assault weapons ban is about. But she won't answer about semi-automatic. Remember, George Santos used to wear a pin for the AR-15. So this is like a cynical, she says, I'm pro-life. She says, I support the Supreme Court decision. She says, in the Dobbs decision, she says, but I don't want to tell women what to do. I don't get that. How could that? She's on the Conservative Party line. You should see their platform. You'd be terrified if you saw it. And she says, I was vetted by the Conservative Party, and they like what I stand for. But she's trying to play this game. So was George Santos, that's right. So she's trying to play this game to think people are stupid. Won't give any specific answers. Won't engage in debates. Relying on the Republican machine. Listen, the Republican machine in Nassau County, let's not underestimate it. It's very powerful. When I first became the county executive in Nassau County, it was the strongest Republican machine in the United States of America. And I was the first Democrat with a Democratic legislature since 1917. And we took the wind out of their sails for a good 15 years or so. But you know what? They're back. They control everything. Town of Oyster Bay, Town of North Hempstead, Town of Hempstead, County of Nassau, Long Beach, Glen Cove, they're running it all. People say to me, Tom, how come you don't put up more signs? We've put up 7,000 signs so far, and the public works departments of all those towns and the county take our signs down, rip them up, and leave their signs there. If that pisses you off, while they're on the clock, you know they do it. Say Public Works, they got to clean the roadways. The Suozzi signs are very dirty. We got to get them out of here. If that gets you upset, if you feel that they're dirty tricks, if they're lies in their commercials, I mean, their commercials are just. I mean, ask my friends from Engage, Long Island, and others if Tom Suozzi. Is Tom Suozzi a member of the squad? I mean, it's absurd. I mean, it's absurd. They're saying, are you guys kidding me? I always read, Newsday did a story, they said Tom Suozzi's in the top 15% of the most bipartisan members of Congress. They said Tom Suozzi kicked ice out of Nassau County. So, let me just tell you what happened. In 2007, I was the county executive in Nassau County. ICE came to Nassau County. They had 96 warrants to raid people's houses to try and get the bad guys. The problem was, of those 96 warrants, where they knocked down the doors, they brought in their shotguns, they had their heavy equipment, some people were wearing cowboy hats, had 90 of the 96 warrants were for the wrong addresses. They terrified families. They pulled their guns on 2 Nassau County police officers. My police commissioner came to me and said, Mr. County Executive, we can't work with these guys. They're a bunch of cowboys. They're not trained properly. They're not coordinating with us. We're trying to build community policing, which we successfully did. We reduced the crime rate to the lowest crime rate in the United States of America for any community over 500,000 people when I was county executive. He said, we can't work with these guys. So I sent a letter to the Secretary of the Homeland Security, and I said, Secretary Chertoff, you can't have your guys coming in here, pulling their guns on my police officers and knocking down doors and intimidating families and children. That's not going to happen. They cleaned up their act. It took them a couple more years, but they came back afterwards. And we worked with the FBI on gangs and things like that. But this is just a complete manipulation of what's really going on. I think that people in this room know me. I'm about solving problems, fixing things, trying to make things better. I'll work with anybody if you genuinely want to try and make the world a better place to live in. Helene will tell you that politics is not worth it if it's only about the ego. Clap for your speeches, go out and pat on the back. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for the competition. I'm going to show I'm right and they're wrong. It's only worth it if you're actually making people's lives better. That's the only reason to be in politics. When I ran this time, I had to ask the boss if it was okay. I said, honey, am I gonna run this time? She said, the small me doesn't want you to do it. She said, but the big me knows it's the right thing to do. So if you want to keep Helene on your team, we've got to win this race. And we're only going to win this race. All the people who voted already, raise your hand. Okay, the people who have not voted yet, please raise your hand. Okay, we need you to go to City Hall right after this, get some prosciutto, get some roasted peppers, and go straight over to City Hall and vote today. Because if we can blow out the numbers in our base, if we can get our people to show up, if we can stand up for hope and not fear, if we can stand for solutions and not attacks, if we can stand for people and not political parties, if we can stand for America and not just self-interest, then we can win this race. We can make our country a better place to live in, and we can make our world a better place to live in, but it starts with all of you. So I'll close with a story that some of you have heard before. But it's a great story, so I got to use it because it's really good. There's a story about they're building one of the great cathedrals over in Europe, and there's 3 masons are working on the job, and they're putting down bricks. And a man comes over to the first mason. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm a bricklayer. I'm laying bricks. That's what I do." He goes to the second man. He's doing the exact same thing as the first man. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm building a wall. I'm a bricklayer. I'm building a wall." He goes to the third person. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I am building a cathedral." That's what it takes to build something big and beautiful. Brick by brick by brick. Phone call by phone call by phone call. Door knock by door knock by door knock. Vote by vote by vote. Conversation to get your friends and families person by person by person. You've got to lay the bricks. We've done our part. We've raised the money. We're doing the air campaign. We're doing the TV commercials. We're doing the mailings. We're doing the digital. We're doing all the air. But we have to have a ground campaign. You are the ground campaign. And you will decide whether or not we win this election. So on Tuesday night, 2 Tuesdays from now, February 13th, they're going to have the magic map on C-SPAN. And they're going to be saying, what's going on with this neighborhood? What's going on with that neighborhood? And this is a good neighborhood, this is a bad. They're going to be doing the analysis. And when we win this race, I'm going to point to the people in this room, and I'm going to say, that's the reason we won this race, is because we have an army of people that love their country, that want to make it better again, and want us to work together to make politics work for the people again. Thank you very much. I love all of you very much. And now, please keep working. Thank you very much, everybody.